Hey, this is Kenny Wayne Shepherd, and you're on Backstage Access, where the real show begins.
Hey, this is Gus Gressinger here with Backstage Access. In a few weeks, the Backroads Blues Festival Tour will be kicking off in Rhode Island. It will also be making a stop here at Art Park in Lewiston, New York on August 16th. Today, we are lucky to have the man behind the tour, but also happens to be one of the greatest guitar players on the planet, and Kenny Wayne Shepherd. Welcome to Backstage Access, Kenny.
All right, thanks for having me.
So tell us about this inaugural Backroads Blues Festival. Did you come up with the idea? How did it form?
Yeah, this is something that that I've been it's been in the works for several years now. And I mean, ultimately, my goal is to create an annual touring blues festival package and featuring, the hottest talent in the genre, of all generations, right? So like this particular inaugural year, we have Buddy Guy, who's, by all accounts and purposes, the current king of the blues. And then you have me and my band, and then we have Christone Kingfish Ingram, who represents the next generation, and he's kind of blazing a trail, and he's super hot right now. So I mean, that's kind of the goal. But the thing is when I was a kid, I just have so many fond memories, because at the time BB King had a touring blues festival, and I used to go see it, and I would see the hottest people in the genre, and it was like BB and Buddy Guy and Robert Cray and Stevie Ray and Jimmy Vaughn and Etta James and Joe Cocker, and I mean the list goes on and on. And then a few years later, I was touring on the festival and did it many times with BB, and so there hasn't been something like that for quite some time now. And I wanted to, bring one to the people and give them an opportunity to, have some memories like I have.
Well, I kind of want to tie it into the 10 Days Out film that you did a handful of years ago. Are you thinking about possibly maybe even setting something up to tie that in and maybe doing a sequel to that? Or is this going to be kind of like strictly just focusing on the music?
Well, I mean, this is an extension of that. So, the Blues from the Backroads is kind of, a brand. And yes, we've talked about, and we've been doing research on potentially doing a sequel to that film. But this is an extension of that. And, just as we did with that first film and the album that accompanied it, the goal was to go out and play with some of the most amazing players in the genre. And then also at the same time, bring some attention to some players who are extremely talented, but haven't quite, never quite got that big break, and so it was to give the community, the fans, and the musicians all something really unique to be a part of. And this is an extension of that. And so, this is the Backroads Blues Festival. That was Blues from the Backroads, the documentary, and so it's a brand that we're creating, and it's going to have many different extensions to it.
When obviously there's going to be just a handful of shows right now. I'm not sure if there's going to be anything added, but for these shows, what can the fans expect at them?
Well, I mean, this is a festival style lineup, so I mean the goal is, if you're planning on coming, you want to get there early, because each artist is a featured artist, and it's going to be them and their band. And I would imagine that at the end of the show, there's a high probability that you're going to have everybody jamming on stage before the whole thing is said and done. And, currently the shows that we have booked are the shows for the tour. But the goal was to kind of get this thing off the ground, hit the ground running in a sense, because I think we have a tremendously strong lineup with Buddy and Kingfish and myself, and get out there and establish the brand, establish the awareness about the tour, and set everybody up for the tour that's going to come next year and the year after that, and so forth.
This is your first time, I believe, playing Art Park. Is that correct?
I don't know, man. It's so hard to say. After I've been playing live concerts well over 30 years, and at a certain point, it's unfortunate to admit, but it's hard to keep up, and sometimes it runs together.
This venue, trust me, when you see it, if you haven't been there, it'll kind of jog your memory. You'll be like, wow, this is it's there's a beautiful gorge behind the stage over, you have Canada on the other side. You're overlooking to that side, and it's going to be a beautiful park for you guys and we're really looking forward to the show. But I want to touch on your memories of playing the West New York area and surrounding areas. Do you have any fond memories of playing any venue around here?
Well, you know, we have a lot of fans just generally up in the New England area and up in the Northeast. I mean, if you look at historically at our touring schedule, we spent a lot of time kind of, up in that whole area up there. So, one thing that I have learned about that part of the country is that people work hard so that they can play hard. So, every show that we do uh, generally tends to be a really like a great experience because the people come ready to let loose and have a good time. And so we feel that from the stage. We get a real strong reception. So we certainly look forward to coming up to that area because of that.
And we're looking forward to having you. And currently, you're out celebrating the 25th anniversary of your landmark album, Trouble Is. Can you believe it's been that long?
Yes and no. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but when I look out, I mean, all I have to do is look at my children to know that yes, I'm definitely getting older, and yes, it has been that long. But so much stuff has happened since then. All of it good. I mean, that album was so important. It was monumental for us, right off the heels of the debut record, Ledbetter Heights, which also was, extremely important and successful as well in its own right. So, I mean, it's just really for me, it's been a trip down memory lane. We're playing in select markets. We're doing shows where we play the entire Trouble Is album live for the first time, and in addition to some other material. But it's been really interesting revisiting some of those songs we hadn't played in a long time, and just realizing how timeless that music is and how relevant it still is. And a lot of people have told me if that album came out today as a new record, it would be just as good and just as current. And to me, that's mission accomplished.
What's the most important thing, being a musician and an artist, that you learned over that time, over that span?
Well, I think that ultimately for me, it's I got the confidence in my ability and my intuition, right? Because the success of the first and second album, there was a lot of people involved in various capacities and things like that. But ultimately, the music is what got us where we're at, and I just followed the music. I followed my inspiration. I wrote and recorded the music that I was inspired to make and that I felt sounded good to me, and that translated to success and a connection with a lifelong audience, and that gave me the confidence to continue forward on that path and not get talked into doing something otherwise.
2019 was a busy year for you. You collaborated with Five Finger Death Punch on a new version of Blue on Black with you, country star Brantley Gilbert, and legendary guitarist Brian May of Queen. How did that all come about?
Well, those guys called me up and said they were going to do a new version of Blue on Black, and they wanted me to play on it. They thought it would be most appropriate if I came and played on it with them. And of course, I agreed. I thought it was great. And then, they're the ones that reached out to Brian May and Brantley Gilbert and got them on board as well. But it was a really cool experience, and I think it's a great version of the song, and it gives new life to the song and introduces it to a new generation because that song came out in 1997, 98, and now just a few years ago it went back up to number one on the rock charts when they put it out as a single, and it was cool to be a part of that because I believe it's really rare for an artist to have a hit single, that goes up to number one, and then 20 years later essentially do it all over again with the same song. So I was really proud to have been a part of that.
And like I was saying, 2019 was a busy year because that was the last release of your last album, The Traveler. You working on any new music?
Yes, definitely. We already have a whole new record. So we had right when COVID happened, we had just finished in February the finishing touches of an all new studio record, and so I've just been holding on to it this whole time, waiting, for things to get back to normal. Or some resemblance of normal, because it didn't make sense to put out a new record if we couldn't go out and play the music for the people and tour for it. So before the end of this year, our goal is to release some music and a documentary film in regards to the 25th anniversary of Trouble Is. So we have some music coming in celebration of the 25th anniversary of that album, and we have a documentary film that kind of highlights the experience of making that record. So that stuff will come out this year, and then I would believe that probably in the first half of next year is when the new studio recording will come out.
You're obviously very staying busy, and with 5 kids, I'm assuming that you're very glad to be back on the road.
You know what? I have to say, it's like that's the longest break that I've had since I was in high school, from touring. And so at first it was a bit of an adjustment, because it was like my whole life's experience was kind of upended. But I have to say, I'm a real family man. Like, my goal when my wife and I got married, started having children, was to find, strike the right balance between my family life and my professional life. And I was doing really good with that. But when COVID happened, getting to spend the better part of 2 years just 100% engaged with my family and my children and stuff, we created some really lifelong memories. We took the opportunity to go do things that, I think they'll remember for the rest of their lives. Like, we loaded them up in a van and went and saw the Grand Canyon, and went hiking in Sedona, and, went camping in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. And, we tried to do things so that when they're older and they look back on it, they'll have some really fond memories of the experience. And I feel they're better for it, and that I'm better for it as well. So I really enjoy my time with my kids, but I certainly enjoy my time on stage as well.
Well, again, we are looking forward to this inaugural festival coming our way in a couple weeks' time at our park in Lewiston, New York. We look forward to having you on stage and seeing, of course, the legendary Buddy Guy and Kingfish Ingram, because I'm not very familiar with him, so I'm actually looking forward to him too. I like seeing new artists, so I can't wait to see him, and hopefully all 3 of you guys jam at the end, like you said. Hopefully that's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I would imagine if you come to the show, you definitely won't walk away disappointed. So hopefully we'll see you there, and we encourage everybody to come out and have a great evening of blues music.
Thanks a lot, Kenny. I appreciate it. I can't wait to see you in a couple weeks' time, and enjoy your day, and we'll see you in 3 weeks.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Have a good one, bud. All right, bye-bye.
All right.